Hello, and welcome in to one of our very last football shows here, if not our last one. I guess we can probably do a small recap of what happened next week, but it looks like just by numbers that people are kind of dropping off here. But that's all right. We've got basketball coming up. I know that you're going to be good for that. But anyway, with that being said, we're going to talk about who we think is going to win the state championships coming up this weekend, and we're excited about that. We've got all four coaches. This is going to be a longer show today. I don't know if you've got time. Hopefully you do. If you don't, come back and watch it in pieces. But we've got all four coaches. We've interviewed all four coaches. We're going to bring them in today and talk to them about the state championship games coming up between Mansfield and Fordyce and Dardanelle and Elkins. There's a lot of firsts in this weekend's championships. There will be a first no matter who wins this weekend. Number one, Fordyce has never won one in 3A. They've only won them in 2A. And so now you could have a first in there where they would win their 3A championship. Or you could have Mansfield who win their first ever. And then in the 4A, both teams are vying for their first ever. But the craziest thing that I saw today is not only are they vying for their first one, the conferences are vying. Literally, either the 4A1 or the 4A4 will have their first ever state championship. That's crazy.
It's pretty cool.
It's wild to me.
I just can't believe it. Like, for it, but now you think about it, yeah, it makes sense. It's it's been dominated by either teams from the South or the East in some cases, and Central. So, I mean, my gosh, how long was Pulaski Academy in the 4A?
Right.
And they just kept winning them and winning them and winning them.
Right. Well, to be honest with you, when you look at these two conferences, a lot of or these two matchups, the conferences, a lot of the 4A conferences, 4A8 has won a bunch of them. The 4A7 has won a bunch of them. There's been many. I mean, even just recently, there's been many state championships that have been won out of those conferences. And in the 3A, kind of the same thing. The 8 kind of wins down there, McGee, different schools, Rising, that sort of thing. And then, 3A1, Booneville is a team that has won a bunch. Charleston has won a bunch. But Mansfield has never won. Mansfield's never won. So,
which is crazy because they've always had, not always, but they've had pretty good programs over the years.
They've had pretty good teams, but they've never had teams this good. And right now, not only do they have a team that is just really, really good, but as you'll hear from Coach Overton here, there's actually a good chance that you're probably going to see Mansfield for the next few years. It's not just going to be this year. It's going to be for the next few years. So, anyway, we're going to get down to it right now. 3A8, 3A1 matching up between Fordyce and Mansfield. And I'm getting text messages, so I'm a little bit distracted here. And then we got a little redheaded girl behind the camera. She's just doing her thing right now.
I had to bring the 3-year-old in the office today, and no complaints, but she's a terror, to say the least.
Anyway, 3A8, 3A1, I'm going to give you a couple initial thoughts, and then we'll talk to both coaches, and then we'll make our picks coming up after the coaches' interviews, and then we'll get into the 4A, do the same thing, make our picks. Initially, my thoughts are, number one, both teams very good football teams. I mean, these are two teams that I picked to do well. Number one, I picked Fordyce to win the state championship. I picked Fordyce to win the state championship in the beginning of the year. Oh, that was almost disastrous there.
It was almost disastrous.
Anyway.
I'm telling you, she's a terror.
So I picked Fordyce to win it all early. Now, I've got Fordyce people saying, don't pick us. I got Mansfield people saying, don't pick us. Well, coming into the playoffs, I picked Mansfield to win the championship. Now, what were your picks as far as winning the championship for 3A? Do you remember?
Oh, goodness.
Salem was it Salem or was it Mansfield?
For me, it was Charleston. After seeing Charleston, because I got a bird's eye view to Charleston to start the season off.
Gotcha.
And I was just so impressed by not just the quarterback play. You got a great quarterback there. The wide receivers, those wide receivers at Charleston, they caught everything that got close to even touching their hands in the game I got to see. And, so that they were my pick just off of what I could see. But, clearly I was wrong because they got beat by Fordyce.
Right.
And you call it controversial. I don't care. We got to go with what the refs called in the game. In the books, a dub's a dub's a dub.
I talked to a little bit about it, and from my understanding,
it was just a great game.
It was the call was correct.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, from my understanding, that call was correct, and it's a very hard way to go out. But
it is.
With that said, Fordyce won the game. It doesn't matter if it wasn't the correct call. Fordyce won the football game. And in our picks, and maybe we'll put this out there for the public, we did a members-only show on Wednesday to kind of go down the line and show how we picked. We had a state championship pick in, I believe, every I don't think there was one that we didn't have one in.
No, we got at least one.
We got we got both of them in the 7A. We got both of them in the 6A. We got one in the 5A. We got one in the 4A. We got
1, 3, and 1, 2.
Yeah, one in the 3, one in the 2. So we picked at least one in each of the classifications. And I'm looking at preseason picks as well. We picked pretty well according to that as well. So anyway, we'll do a little bit of that. But we were looking at the picks, and when you looked at our picks, we would have gotten 2 picks if, let's just say, like Charleston won the game. Well, Charleston didn't win the game, but Fordyce did, and they went on to move on and win it, or going into the final. We did that with 2A. We did that with Cross County. Cross County ended up winning it. They ended up beating Junction City. We had Junction City in the final. They ended up beating Junction City, so they took their place. So what I'm saying is, basically, it came down to one game. Yeah. In almost every bracket that had we hit those, you're talking about us picking like 95% of the bracket. So, anyway.
I think we did pretty good. You missed the 7A championship. I did not.
I did. I did, and I'll never do it. I'll tell you right now, the next time I miss it will be when Bryant don't win it. I'll tell you that right now. I will not pick against Bryant until they lose. So, anyway, this matchup is a matchup between the power of Mansfield, the speed of Fordyce. We know that Fordyce has got some power too, but Mansfield, when I think about maybe the best offensive line in 3A.
One of them.
Yeah.
For dang sure, one of them.
And they're hanging their hat a lot on those guys there. They may have the best offensive line in 3A. But we also know that Fordyce, they're good all around. They're a good team all around. They've got a little bit of everything that they can throw at you. They can run it at you in the wing tee. They can run it at you. They can throw it at you a little bit. And I'll tell you right now, Cadillac can throw that football.
Yeah, flat-footed. He can fling it 30 yards on a rope. Like it's
it comes out of his hands. It's so like
fast.
It's a flick.
Yeah.
If you were there, you understand when you're close to a quarterback and you hear that ball come off the fingers. Well, it whistles on the other end, but I'm talking about when you're close to a kid that throws it and it comes off those 2 fingers, just like a flip. It's that sound right there. Whatever it is.
And he's got it. Cadillac's got it.
He's got it. So the speed of Fordyce, the power of Mansfield, that's the 2 things. But I'm going to tell you, do not underestimate the speed of Mansfield. They've got speed.
Oh, they do.
They've got speed.
They do. They got great speed.
And I don't know how many kids they had on the sideline this year, but I do know that last year they only had 22 kids. But of the 22, they didn't have one that you could look at and say, that kid can't play.
Yeah.
I mean, there are some times you have a few kids that might be playing that can't play dead in Western. But, for the most part, what I saw out of Mansfield, they have a even though they don't have a lot of depth on the sideline, they have a lot of depth on the field. They've got a lot of good players. So
They do.
what we're going to do, we're going to go to our first interview with Coach Overton. We'll talk a little bit about that, and then we'll come back with Coach Rogers, and then we'll make our picks. Welcome back into the Arkansas Sports Network, and we are covering high school state finals this week. And we've got 3A coach here. We got Coach Whit Overton of the Mansfield Tigers on the phone with us today. And Coach, we do appreciate you taking some time with us.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me on.
Well, Coach, you've had some really good success while you've been at Mansfield. I know that you kind of took us by storm in 23 and made the state semifinals for the first time, and I know people were just beside themselves about that. And then last year you made the same state semifinals again, and I think everybody was like, well, man, Mansfield's had a really good run. And then all of a sudden here you are again in the finals this time. Talk to us a little bit about what has got you guys at Mansfield at such a higher position and a higher level than you've been at.
Well, I think obviously you have to have really good players and kids that desire and want to be good. And I think that when I came over here, maybe a little bit of a lack of confidence might have existed. I don't want to say anything negative about the previous people, and because most of them are still on staff here, but I just brought in an energy and a passion for Mansfield, an energy and a passion for football, and the kids really bought into it, and especially this senior class. Those guys were 10th graders, and they really wanted to be good. And we just came in with a plan. We were going to hit the weight room really, really hard. We were going to run the flex bone, and we were going to be multiple on defense, and just try to win football games by being physical and outworking people. And when you got kids that buy into that, and then they have talent on top of that, it makes for a successful run. And I'm just so proud to be part of Mansfield. I graduated from here, and take a lot of pride in the work that we do here.
You guys have done a good job getting yourself on the scene. I mean, let's just be honest about it. Charleston and Boonville are the two teams supposed to win that conference, and you guys have broken through and been able to get yourself in that position and win the last 2 years. And, we know that Boonville's got a great program. We know Charleston's got a great program. And now we know Mansfield's got a great program, which makes that 3A1 really difficult.
Yeah. And those guys are, all friends of mine. I worked at Boonville for 6 years. Was able to learn a ton from those guys. Coach Hyatt and Coach Crowley were the head coaches while I was there, and took a lot of great stuff from those guys: how to run a program, how to be a winner, how to run an off-season program, how to coach offense, defense, special teams. And then Coach May was there for a year with us, and he was there a long time before I got there, but got to know Coach May. And he's I consider someone who's a friend as well. And, we know that they base what they do on the same kind of principles that I wanted to bring here, which is, weight room, work ethic, dedication, and just trying to grow young men into, from boys to adults who work hard and are, part of our community. And so I learned a ton of things from those guys, and just wanted to bring that over here to Mansfield.
Well, let's talk about your team here. I mean, you guys have been on the scene now for 3 seasons for sure. But I can say that there's probably a lot of people that don't know a lot about your team this season. So let's talk a little bit about your team and what makes it go.
Well, is obviously we got 10 seniors, all of which play a vital role in what we do. Our 5 offensive linemen are all seniors. those guys, 4 of them are 3-year starters. The other one is a 2-year starter. And so those guys have seen a lot of football, and they've played in a lot of big games at this point in their career, more than anybody else in the history of Mansfield. And so those guys are really the ones that make us go. They don't always get necessarily all the publicity, but those guys up front do a tremendous job, and they all play both ways. They play at linebacker and defensive line as well. And so those guys are kind of who we hang our hat on. And then we have in our skill position wise, we got Andrew Burton, who is our fullback. He's a tremendous player. Obviously, he's over 2,000 yards rushing, 36 touchdowns, maybe 37 touchdowns on the year. He's incredible, tough kid, plays both ways again, makes a ton of plays on defense as well. And then the other guys in the backfield, our 2 slot backs, are both 10th graders. They've come in and done a tremendous job of picking up where we left off the last couple years there at slot. And then our quarterback is also a 10th grader. He moved in from Greenwood in the spring, and he's picked up the offense really quick, really dynamic as a runner and a thrower. I think everybody kind of saw that on Friday against Salem. You know, he can really throw. He throws a beautiful deep ball. He's accurate. And then we have 2 guys on the edge that are both seniors, our receivers, that, you know, they take a lot of pride in blocking. They know they're not going to get the ball a lot, but they want to be out there and they want to affect the game, and they do that a lot with their blocking. And then defensively, you know, like I talked about, we got a really good front, and our secondary is much improved as the years gone on. They've gotten better and better. Again, there's 2 sophomores and 2 seniors back there, and those guys have put in the work and have gotten better as the season's gone on.
Well, you guys have obviously had a successful season being where you're at, but I would say dominant would probably be the operative word this season for your team. You know, I'm just speaking for myself when I say this. We got down to the end of the playoffs. Now, I might scare some people from your town when I say this. I'll just say that now. But when we got down to the playoffs here, I said, I'm looking at Mansfield and I'm seeing them as the team that is playing the best. And a lot of times, the team that wins the state championship is the team that is playing the best. I talked to Coach Watson last year when they beat Rivercrest 50-18. I said, man, I should have known at that point that you guys were going to win the state championship. And, you know, looking at your team right now, y'all are playing really, really good, and you have played dominant is a good word to use here. What do you attribute your season to this year?
I think it comes back to the senior leadership. These guys, you know, we've talked about it for the past 3 years that our expectation is we want to get to Little Rock. And those guys have worked extremely hard in the off season and in spring. And we knew I take that back. We didn't know what we were going to be like this year because of how many good players we lost last year. You know, we lost 4 dudes who were all state, and we didn't know how we were going to replace those guys. And it was pretty early in spring ball where me and Coach Robinson, my defensive coordinator, we looked at each other and said, dude, I think we're better than we were last year. And so just trying to keep those guys focused in on, you know, the process of getting better every day. You know, we don't look ahead. We talk about being where our feet are mentally. And these guys have just take it one day at a time, one practice at a time. They love watching film. They love practice. And so when you have guys like that just want to work, it really makes it easy on a coach to come to practice every day and get better. And these guys have have picked it up another level once we got to the playoffs too. And we knew our draw was really tough. You had Bismarck in the quarters, probably Salem in the semis, and we talked about it. We're not going to be afraid of anybody. We have respect for every opponent, but we wanted to face those teams in the playoffs because we wanted to face that challenge and know that we were the best team going into it.
You're right about that. I mean, we've talked about that all playoff long. That that top of the bracket with you three in there was tough. But we also know that there's a good Fordyce team that's waiting on you, a team that's steeped in tradition.
Oh, yeah.
A team that is very athletic, probably presents some matchup issues that you haven't had, at least so far. I say that. You may have. But definitely a team that, really when you look at wherever they are, whether they're in the 2A or the 3A, you look at Fordyce every year and you say they're probably going to be a contender for Little Rock.
Oh, yeah. I don't know Coach Rogers on a personal level, but just being able to watch his films of his teams, they play tremendously hard. They get after it every single play. They have some really talented skill guys, some really talented offensive and defensive linemen, and then their quarterback is really good too. Is excellent thrower of the football. And so, they've obviously got our full attention. We're not in any way looking past these guys. We know what a tremendous program they have, how much tradition that they've had. The year before I got here, they went down and played those guys, I think in the first round or maybe second round. It is the first round of the playoffs. And our seniors were ninth graders there. Some of those guys actually got to play against Fordyce. So they know the type of team we're going to play, and they, understand the magnitude of a state championship game. And they've been looking forward to this one for a long time. And, they're really ready to turn it loose and see where the chips may fall.
Your community is really not unaccustomed to winning state championships. You won one in volleyball this year. Girls basketball, I know, has been deep into the playoffs a few times themselves, but this is the first time, to my knowledge, that you guys are playing in Little Rock. Talk about the community and how excited they are around this.
It's been incredible. The people in this town have obviously had a lot of success in girls sports. Mansfield's won, I don't know, a ton of them in track. They've, won a ton of them in volleyball. Softball's been really successful. And when I got here, that was one of the things that I talked about was, hey, our expectations are just like those girls teams. They expect to be in the finals in volleyball every year. They expect to be in the finals of softball every year. And we want to get our boys to that level where they expect to be playing in December every year. And so the community has supported us. The scene after the game against Salem was incredible. I had, couldn't get off the field for like an hour after the game just because everybody wanted to come shake my hand and shake the kids' hands and hug them. And, got grown men crying and I'm crying. And it was just an incredible, incredible atmosphere. And the people in this town are going to show up on Saturday for sure. And are going to be loud, and they're going to be ringing their cowbells, and they're going to be excited and pumped up to see the Tigers play in Little Rock.
Absolutely. And from what I can tell, just from what I'm looking from afar, Mansfield's not done yet. It sounds like I've got a pretty good junior high crew and just a good up-and-coming program right now.
Yeah, right now we're in junior high, senior high, we're 23-0 on the season. And that ninth grade group and eighth grade group too are really, really good. And they have the same kind of DNA makeup that our upperclassmen do. They are hungry. They want to be successful. They want to be the group that kind of propels us on. And so the future is definitely bright, and Mansfield's definitely here to stay for the long haul.
Well, Coach, I really appreciate it, and that's is that 12:30? Is that when that starts on Saturday?
12:10's kickoff.
12:10 kickoff. You can catch that on Arkansas PBS, crowning a 3A state championship on Saturday. Coach, appreciate you joining me here, and we're looking forward to seeing who's going to come out of that one on top.
Yes, sir. Looking forward to it.
All right, thank you. That's Coach Whit Overton of Mansfield as his team is marching into the 3A state championship game. On a historic run.
I'm stupid, Brad. We forgot to turn the audio back on.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, we're back again. As you can see, I'm nodding my head and talking and all that. One of the things that stuck out to me there was the 23-0 between junior high and senior high. There, that was a very impressive number there. And again, it just kind of shows that Mansfield's not just here now, but they're here to stay for a while. They've got some staying power.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible for any program to do that in the season. I don't care where you are, what classification. If your programs can pull that off, that's a spectacular season.
Yeah,
win or lose a state championship, that is a spectacular season.
You know, Fordyce is a team that has tradition. I don't think that they are – well, I know for a fact that they're not going to be starry-eyed when it comes to this ball game. And, again, it's a team that you really look at and you say, hey, this is a team – every year, this is a team that we feel like is going to be there. I picked them to win it at the beginning of the year. Now, I'm willing to change my mind as time goes on. You're going to get our official picks here after this interview. But we got Coach Tim Rogers of Fordyce, and we're going to talk to him a little bit about just like what we did with Coach Overton there. And so anyway, just wanted to touch base with him and get a feeling for what he feels like going into this game with Mansfield at War Memorial Stadium. Welcome into the Arkansas Sports Network, and on the phone with me, I've got head coach of the Fordyce Redbugs, Tim Rogers, as he gets ready for the 3A state championship game with the Mansfield Tigers. Coach, we do appreciate you joining us here on ASN.
Thank you very much. Glad to be here.
Well, Coach, this is not unfamiliar territory for you. You've been here quite a bit. Tell us how many times you've actually been in this situation.
We went to the state finals in 2019, 20, and 21, and this will be the fourth time in the last 7 years. I've been there before when I was assistant coach back in 90 and 91, so it's been a few years, but I'm just glad to get back. And I know the kids are too. I mean, this is a first group of kids that didn't have an opportunity to go to War Memorial, but I'm glad they got an opportunity this year.
Absolutely, and you guys are doing it in the 3A. I know that y'all have done it in the 2A before. Have you ever done it in 3A?
No, sir. When we were 90 and 91, well, 90 91 was 2A. Yeah, it's always been 2A, but I'm just glad this year. You know, when we moved up, we thought it would be a lot harder, which it is. But we just kept working and working and working, and I'm just glad these kids put in the time and got there this year.
Well, Coach, you guys have had a fantastic year. I mean, it's been a great year. Of course, I know that every season, it doesn't matter how many wins you have, there's always some things to overcome. And you guys have had some things that you needed to overcome this year to get to this point. Tell us how you guys have gotten through those things.
Well, it started off first game of the year. I mean, I mean, we've never had a year where we've had this many people injured through the whole season. First game of the year, we lost one of our starting wide receivers, Jamarcus Cranford. He tore his ACL on like the third or fourth play of the game, and we ended up losing him for the whole year. And we had another kid, another senior that had a heart problem, and he didn't get to play this year. He had got set out the whole year, missed his senior year. And then as the season went along, it just seems like little nagging injuries kept building up and building up. And by the time we got to the Lake Village game, our starting quarterback, Andrell Ellison, he had to set out a game. Our starting wide receiver, Jamartez Stroud, had to set out that game. Our starting running back, Micah Gamble, had to set out that game. And during the game, Tristan Winston broke his wrist, and Keyston Thomas popped his elbow out of joint and had to go to the hospital there, so it just seems like they just kept piling up. And that Lake Village game was the one where they all came together at one time, and we ended up losing that ball game. And I think it kind of got our kids to understand how focused you got to be on staying in shape and lifting and taking care of yourself and getting the ice baths and the therapies and the things that we keep telling them to do all the time. I think it finally all focused on them that 1 week. And after that, we've been doing pretty good as far as going and doing the things that we need to stay healthy and get through things. And it's just kind of just snowballed to where we've had everybody almost every game so far after that Lake Village game.
Well, you guys have played a tough road here to get to where you are in the playoffs. I mean, everybody has to play a tough road, but I mean, you guys ended up playing Jessieville first, which we know that there was a little history there with Jessieville, and then the next game was the Charleston game. Let's talk about that game a little bit and the 36-35 victory over a very good Charleston team.
Yes, that was a game we knew when we looked at the brackets and stuff. We just kind of figured out we was either going to play Boonville or Charleston, one of those two, because we kind of had a feeling Mansfield was going to win that side. So, and the thing about it is we wanted them to have to come to play at Fordyce. We've been up to their places a couple times, and it's a hard place to play, hard place to win at. And we just figured we had a lot better chance to win if we could make them come down here and play. It worked out for us. Charleston game, I mean, we kind of went back and forth, and I think we had 4 turnovers that game. That was, we really hadn't done that all year, but our defense stood up at times, and we stopped them when we needed to, right there at the end of the ball game. And then on the 2-point conversion, Micah Gamble just bowled his way in there and got the touchdown, and that just that kind of I don't know, it just made me had a great relief because we've never beaten Charleston before, and so that was exciting for us, and especially for me, because after those other 2 years of going up there and losing, I just wanted to at least beat them one time before I got out of coaching.
Yeah, well, I know that they're tough. I mean, they're one of those teams, kind of like Fordyce. Boonville's in that mix as well, and where when you see those guys on the schedule, you're going to have to play football in order to win, no matter where you play it at. Whether you play it at Fordyce, Charleston, or on Mars, you're going to end up having to play a tough game. And then you turned around the next week. These are 2 games that we've been at the last 2 weeks for you guys. The Mayflower game and the Boonville game. Mayflower game, you guys really did some things that I was impressed with. The fact that we had felt like Mayflower coming into the game had the best defense in 3A, and in 2 plays on the first drive of that Mayflower game, you guys have scored and really set the tone for the rest of the game.
Yeah, yes, we got some great coaches here in Fordyce, and we noticed a couple of things we thought we could take advantage of on offense, and then on defense, our defensive coaches do a great job. And I think that kind of what we've heard all year long and what we've heard during the playoffs and everything about how good their defense was and everything. And I think our defensive coaches and our defensive players, they just kind of took that as a big challenge to see who was best that Friday night. And we got some pretty good players on defense,
Mm-hmm.
and we may not have the biggest and most potential and most college people as far as athletes on defense, but we have some kids that are very tough. They get after it. They play hard. And I know one thing Coach Musgrove and Coach Sledge and Coach Gamble is driven into them, and, just play to the whistle blows. And we did that night. I thought our defense did a great job just stuffing them most of the time on the run.
Oh yeah, yeah. Y'all were on top of it that game, and really were able to outlast them. I felt like that they were a very good football team too. Then you turn around, and you got the Boonville Bearcats coming down there, and this is the second year in a row that Boonville had to come to Fordyce to play that ball game, and you were able to come out with an 18-13 hard-fought game that. I guess some people would say it was an idea football game with the mud and all the dirty jerseys and the toughness and just able to stay with it and win a football game in that semifinal round there. What was that game like?
To me, that's what playoffs and hard-nosed football is right there. I mean, because Boonville, they're just going to pound you, go right at you, and they're very sound on everything they do. You got good coaches, and hopefully we do too. And the game just going up and down the field, and we have a grass field, and we don't have turf like a lot of schools around here. So we have to mow and take care of our field and stuff, and we tried to do the best we could to get it ready and stuff, which it was a little mushy in a few spots. But then once the game got going and we started going up and down the field, it kind of got a little muddy there. But that, to me, that's what it's all about right there. You get out there and play football in the mud, tackle people, and out there in the grass and everything going on. And, I kind of loved that ball game Friday night. It was fun, especially winning the ball game, especially for our kids at home. And I know for the fans to be able to just not have to travel very far and watch us play. And it was good to beat Boonville because, I mean, they're one of those teams. I mean, they got a lot of tradition too. They got a lot of state championships too. And they're one of those teams that you have to play hard and you have to do everything right to beat them. And, I was just glad we were able to come away with the win.
You were able to come away with that victory, and here you are now. You've played Charleston, you played Boonville. Now you got the behemoths that coming out of that conference in Mansfield. They're playing really well right now. I don't know how much work you've been able to get in on them so far. I assume you've watched a little bit of them. What do you see out of Mansfield when you look at what they do?
Well, they're a lot like Boonville as far as kind of the offense and the things that they do. They got a real good fullback. He runs hard. And he's got a little bit of speed and stuff. And that's one thing we got to be able to stop him first. Then their quarterback and the two other running backs they have there, they don't have any weak spots as far as running back and quarterback. So, we got to be able to do our assignments as far as, everybody's got, somebody's got to have dive, somebody's got to have quarterback, somebody's got to have pitch. And we've really got to play fundamental football on that part of it because they do everything right. And one thing we noticed is, if they start pounding you and something's worked, they just stay with it till you stop it. And, I'm kind of that way sometimes when I'm on offense. We call plays, if something's worked, we're just going to work it till you stop it. And that's one thing we notice that they do. And they big play people a lot. I know that running back, and they've been able to throw some passes on people down the field and score. But we noticed on film that they've had a lot of big plays. And that's one thing we got to be able to do is we've got to stop them from having big plays on offense. And then on defense, I know other teams have turned the ball over against them, and they've been able to take advantage of it. And, we can't have turnovers against somebody like them because, they'll turn it into points real quick. And next thing you're 2 or 3 touchdowns behind, and they just keep pounding on you after that.
Well, Coach, what do you do in a situation like this where, you're going to War Memorial, you're playing for a state championship, the game feels huge. How do you keep those kids from getting too starry-eyed and just keep them down to where they play football?
Well, one thing about our kids, ours are not starry-eyed. We just have to make sure we keep them focused on playing football, staying out of trouble at school, and doing things they aren't supposed to. So I guess playing at War Memorial and thinking it's too big, that's probably not going to affect us. What's probably going to affect us is just having them staying focused and stuff, because we're happy-go-lucky most of the time. Sometimes it drives me crazy, but when the lights come on Friday nights, our kids play. And me and the other coaches, because most of my coaches that we have here have played football here at Fordyce, and I've either taught them in class or coached them, and they know how I am about things. And I like people to be focused and everything on football and concentrating and all that, and listening to all that music and moving around and doing all that and laughing and giggling and playing around. I'm old school. I think you ought to be just solid focused all the time. And our kids just aren't that way sometimes. But when the lights come on Friday nights, they turn it on. And I guess that's what we need, and that's what we've been able to do so far this year. So I'm really not worried about all the other stuff that's going on as far as too much hype.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure I get them all to the game and get them there. And then when the lights come on, most of the time so far this year, except for one game, they've been able to turn it on.
They've been ready to go. And what's it like to be down there? You said your coaches have played down there, and I assume, did I hear you right, that you played down there as well?
No, sir. I graduated from Monticello.
Okay, but you've been down there long enough now that you know the tradition. What's it like, the tradition of Fordyce football? What does that feel like every Friday night?
Well, it's great to be able to be part of this program in town and school and athletic program, and it's football and everything. I mean, you hear about Paul Bear Bryant, you hear about Coach Red Parker, and Coach Cox when he was here in the 90s and won a couple of state championships. And then you look at all the players that have come through here. Kevin Williams, went through and played at the NFL for Minnesota Vikings, and Rayleigh Johnson went and played at San Diego and Denver. For both of them played for 9 or 10 years. And, I had the pleasure to get to coach both of those two guys when they were here at Fordyce. And the coaching staff that we have here at Fordyce right now, out of the 10 people that help out, only one of them doesn't have anything as far as family or contact or going to school here at Fordyce. I mean, Coach Musgrove played and lived in Fordyce his whole life. Both of the Coach Sledges, Kedrick and Darius, both of them went to school here and played here. Coach Bobby McGee played here. Coach Tommy Tidwell played here. My son Delton Rogers played here. The other two coaches, Coach Lynn and Coach Gamble, they married women from Fordyce. Their wives are both from Fordyce and graduated from here. So, our whole coaching staff has some tie, some way, somehow to Fordyce. And and most of our coaches don't get paid. Only 4 of us get paid. The rest of them are just doing it because they want to be part of the program and help out and coach. So, that's what I love about it is nobody's here at Fordyce. Nobody's doing it for the money.
Yeah.
They're doing it because they love kids, they love football, and they want to be part of this program and help build stuff and do stuff and carry on the tradition that you see when you look around as far as Fordyce. You see football and everything that's going on, and you look in our trophy cases and you see things about Paul Bear Bryant, 1929, 1958, 59, 60, when Coach Parker was here. Just to be a part of that, and a lot of people just want to be a part of that. And so money's not even coming into the conversation as far as why these people are doing stuff. They're doing it for the kids and for the program.
Well, Coach, you've been down there quite a while. You said you wanted to beat Charleston before you got out of it. How many more years do you think you got in you?
Well, I don't know. I enjoy coaching. I know the Lord's blessed me with some pretty good health. I love living here in Fordyce. 3 of my kids live here in Fordyce. I got a couple of my grandkids started school this year, and I got one of them. She's a little firecracker, so I might have to stay around and keep her out of trouble at school. So I might be here a few more years, but as long as I enjoy my job, which I do, I love teaching, love coaching. I love the school district and love people here that we work for, love the town. I'm probably going to do as long as I can, because I have nothing else to do. All these people hobbies, everything else people have. I don't have that. All I do is mow grass and take care of the football field during the summer, and then when that gets over with, we start football here in Fort Ice, and then that's all I do most of the time. Take care of grandkids now.
I love it. Now, you teach 4 classes, is that right?
Well, yeah, I got 2 U.S. history classes and a couple of PE classes. Yes, sir.
All right. Well, Coach, we do appreciate you joining us, and boy, it's going to be a good one on Saturday, as always. It's always good to get a chance to play for one, and I know that you guys got to be excited about that.
Yes, we are. I know it's exciting for the town and for the parents and everybody. I know, and I'm just glad these people get to experience that this year.
All right. Well, Coach, appreciate you joining us.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
We unmuted? All right. Oh, Bill Harshaw says ASN Before Dark is awesome. And Marcus Brown Sr. says, too much speed on the Red Bugs. Bill, I can't answer that question. Sorry, buddy. Mansfield, bring the trophy home. There's a lot of comments on this Fordyce and Mansfield game here. And, of course, when it comes down to this time, it doesn't matter who you play. It's going to be a good team. I mean, you don't get to this point where we're at right now without having good teams. And these are 2 good ones. These are 2 really good ones. And, again, when you talk about playing the best, I mean, obviously, these 2 are playing the best. Fordyce, we talk about Bismarck and Salem and all of that. Mansfield were able to come through those guys. But on the other end of the bracket, Fordyce was able to overcome Charleston, Mayflower, and Boonville, which is also really, really good teams.
Yeah, you're not getting here without being you're as a pretender. Pretenders are done being weeded out. It's the real deal now.
Right.
And I'm not saying that any of those teams we mentioned were pretenders. They're all really good teams. They just happen to get beat this year.
Absolutely.
Let's put them out.
I think one of the coaches talked to us about what happened with Fordyce, and we know that there was some injuries there and all that stuff. But also, sometimes a loss can help you kind of straighten up, and I think that's what happened with them. On the other end of the spectrum, you got Mansfield, who has not lost, and they've been dominant, and they've looked really good. And they have put 80 on somebody this year.
Yeah.
They put 72 on another this year. They're putting up huge numbers. And then, just the last 2 weeks in the playoffs where they were able to put the big numbers that they did on Bismarck and on Salem. I mean, again, I really look at this like I did last year and say, and I look at those 2, that win there with Mansfield, it's a lot like what Salem did with Rivercrest.
Yeah.
You thought Rivercrest might win that ball game, and somehow not only did they not win that ball game, I'm talking about last year, Salem destroyed them. And you just knew at that point Salem was playing at a high level. So
something I appreciate about Mansfield this year, they don't take their foot off the gas for nothing at all. It is full speed, trying to score every single time they have the ball in their hands, and I appreciate that. Like, they're not satisfied with just getting up on a team. They want to leave no doubt. And I can, you can say what you want about running up scores. Hey, that's why we got the mercy rule. But I respect the crap out of Mansfield for just they're not quitting a single play. Every single play they're trying to score, and I appreciate that.
All right. Well, let's get to our picks. I hate to do this because I hope that people won't drop off after this, but let's get to our picks right now, and Justin's going to throw them up on the screen. Me and Justin are split on these picks, and I've got Mansfield and Justin's got Fordyce. When I look at Mansfield again, I think they're playing so well. They're playing at a dominant level right now, and I know that both of these teams do not want me to pick them. So I get it. But, again, I will say I picked Fordyce in the beginning. I picked Mansfield at the beginning of the playoffs. And I don't know what to say about it. I just think, to me right now, I think that Justin's got that gum cough here.
Sorry.
I think that Mansfield's just playing really, really well right now. A lot like what Salem did. It's hard for me to discount not only the win that they had, the wins that they've had over Salem and over Bismarck, but how they won.
Yeah, the only thing I've gotten right in this playoff so far is picking Bryant. But for me, I'm picking the Bugs. Yeah, I've seen them twice this year. We've seen ASN seen them 3 times, correct? I wasn't at the first game. I didn't get to go that one. They just impressed me so much. And we talked about it earlier, just how Cadillac throws the football. Like he's 15 years old. That just like I ain't never seen a kid his age. I'm sure you can talk about Kane Archer. Kane's got I don't think Kane has the same arm strength. He might be better, overall. Yeah. But I don't know if he's got the same arm strength at the same age.
He's more polished.
Yeah,
for
more
sure.
polished, right?
I mean, way different situation.
Yep.
But when you look at the ceiling that Cadillac has, he may have a higher ceiling just because of the sheer size that he plays with. I mean,
he makes me feel tiny, and I'm not a small man.
He's a large human. Anyway,
he's big and strong.
So that's our picks for 3A. I've got Mansfield. Justin's got Fordyce, and we've got. Do we got any new comments here? I thought I saw one come in here. Nothing new. I don't know. Anyway, we're going to go on to 4A now. Appreciate you joining us. Stay with us here. We got 4A picks. Dardanelle and Elkins. I believe we got Dardanelle up next.
Dardanelle interview first, yeah.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about this game. Dardanelle and Elkins, number one, these two teams are very familiar with each other. They have met 3 times in the last 2 seasons, starting with a game that Dardanelle got absolutely smacked in, 51-0. And last year, after that game, Dardanelle really came together. And by the end of the year, I felt like Dardanelle was playing as well as anybody in the state. And Arkadelphia came to Dardanelle, was able to win a quarterfinal game, and that ended up setting them off to the playoffs, through the playoffs and winning the championship. Well, this year, Dardanelle and Elkins rematched at Dardanelle. Dardanelle was able to pull off a 14-10 victory. I'm just going to say right now, as of all the high school games that I have watched, I haven't seen anybody with my eyes this season that is better than Creed Vega. Now, you could say just as good, you could say just as effective, but I'm just talking about a football player. I'm not sure I've seen anybody that's any better than he is. And so he's just an unbelievable force. He's an
Pick one that
force.
Changes any particular game. Pick one that changes the game more than he does.
I don't know. If there is one.
No, not this year.
Yeah.
What, 6'2", 200, how much he weigh?
220.
220?
220.
Yeah, he's built like, he's a force.
Right.
Just a force to be reckoned with. And I've seen him for 3 years in a row. First year that I saw him, we beat him. Yeah. He was young. Not year 2 and 3.
Right.
It wasn't even no contest.
Nah, he's something else.
And he's surrounded by some good players too. It ain't just him on that football field. Hate the Rod Chatton's still out for this one, correct?
Yes.
Hate the Rod's out because he's a heck of a player, and I hope I get to see him play basketball again this year. But Creed's got weapons.
Yeah. Kelsey Haywood says, "Let's go Elks." Share this out with your Elkins folks and Dardanelle folks as well if you're in here right now. Get this out here. We're going to start out with Phil Vega of Dardanelle, and we're going to talk to him, and then we'll have Zach Watson as our final interview of the day. And I hope that you've enjoyed this. It's been a lot of fun to do. Get a chance to do something a little bit different than what we're used to doing. But anyway, with that said, we're going to go to Phil Vega, and he's going to talk about his team and then, the father-son aspect of him being able to coach his son in this situation. And we're going to talk about a lot of players throughout the Dardanelle Sand Lizards football team. On the phone with me, I've got Coach Phil Vega of the Dardanelle Sand Lizards, and his team is getting ready to play in the 4A state championship. And Coach, I guess I've got a question for you because your fans are telling me that you actually have – Dardanelle's been there before. Is that true?
No.
No. Well, I guess they said something about Phil Collins at some point may have made it.
No, that's not correct. Matter of fact, there's only been only 3 times in school history Dardanelle ever made it to the semifinals.
I gotcha. And you've been a part of 2 of those, is that right?
Yes, sir.
All right, and that was 2014 and
Yes,
last
sir.
Friday night. And well, let's just talk about that because there were some eerie similarities to what happened in 14 to what happened Friday night. You guys were able to exercise a few demons there with Warren coming in on the same night, the same date on the calendar, the same records for both teams and all that. And, I've heard some things, come out of that from that game, and you guys were able to kind of, I guess, for a lack of better terms, make some wrongs right.
We did, and and it was crazy how that all ended up being, the exact same with all the same, scenarios and so forth. And matter of fact, they had one of their coaches was on that team, was number 7 on that 2014 Warren team that went on to play receiver at Arkansas State. And I talked to him before the game, and just really, really weird how that all worked out that way. But yes, we were able to exercise some demons for for the Dardanelle community, Dardanelle fans, and, the football faithful here at Dardanelle, being able to right the ship and find a way to be victorious this go around for sure.
Well, there's been a lot of expectations for your team this season, and you guys have been able to live up to every one of them. I mean, you guys 14-0, made it to the state championship game. I know that you guys, you started at the top of many polls. You started number 2 at our poll, but you spent most of the time at number 1 for the most part of the year. And here you are now. You guys have been able to live up to those expectations. Talk a little bit about what that's been like this year for your team.
Yeah, that hats off to our football team. Those guys. We knew it, and us coaches didn't talk much about the rankings or anything, especially early. I mean, heck, those things are, a lot of times they're, that's not how it finishes up or whatever. But, we weren't big on talking about that or anything. We're just trying to, find ways to win the next ball game and figure out a way to go 1-0 each week. But, our guys had, they know they're on social media and so forth and see all the rankings and everything like that. And, so they knew that there was a big target on our back, and we knew that going in to start the season. We felt like that, that was kind of our focal point in the spring after last season, that there would be a target on our back because we do return so many players and so much talent on, from a team that we felt like was a really good team and had a chance to, be a little bit better, finish a little bit better last year and, and just came up short. But so they knew the target would be big, and then, the rankings come out and, all the guys see it that, we're 1 or 2 or top 5 and, just depending on what poll you look at. And, and I do remember at one point, talking to them about, all that did was make that target bigger. And our guys were up for the challenge and, regardless of what, throughout the season, the naysayers are, saying, well, they barely beat this team or they barely beat that team. They're not going to be fast enough to beat this team, or they hadn't seen a passing game like this, or their O-line's not big enough, or whatever. This bunch has continued to seize their opportunity and take advantage of their opportunity each and every time. And, it wasn't always the prettiest win and how we won some of those games and whatnot. But, at the end of the day, all that matters is that you find a way to win. And this bunch has done just that. And I'm extremely proud of their efforts and, and just, again, taking advantage of those opportunities that they have provided for themselves.
And you've got, a unique opportunity as well coaching your son in the state championship game. And I know that it's not all about your son. I know that there are so many factors to making this team go, but I also know that there's always a straw that stirs the drink, and he seems to be that guy for you. Talk a little bit about Creed and what he's meant to your team, and then what it's meant to be his head coach as his father.
Yeah, for sure. No, and you're exactly right. It's definitely not all about Creed. He is a big part of what we're doing, and and I think that the team has accepted him as kind of being the alpha dog of the team, and that's just, every team has one, and this season it's Creed that is that guy, and they lean on him, and he leans on them heavily as well. And as far as having the opportunity to coach my son, and it is, I mean, it's really a dream come true. It's an awesome experience to get to coach him. He is anybody that knows him knows that he is an extremely awesome kid. He's always smiling. He's a great leader. He does things right on it and off the field. And so it's just been a lot of fun, and really enjoying this experience that, we're getting to share together, each and every Friday night. And heck, not just there, but, throughout the week at practices and so forth. It's definitely different environment than when you're at home, in your house and so forth. So, but no, it's been a lot of fun getting to coach Creed.
Well, he's a unique talent, and we can talk about a lot of things, but man, that performance he had on Friday night, 37 carries. We had him at 309 after a couple kneels, but we had him at 319 before the kneels. 7 touchdowns is what matters at the end of the day, and he was awesome, and that's a performance that will be talked about around Dardanelle for a long time.
Yeah, it was an outstanding performance, and I think he told you, immediately afterwards in that interview, he couldn't do any of that without those guys up front and out the receivers, blocking on the perimeter, and I truly believe that he that's heartfelt when he says that, because he understands that is, it's not all him, and that he's got to have those guys to be successful, and they're just as much a part of our success as he is, and because obviously, without those guys, he's not, 1 on 11 is doesn't work out too well. So no, but Creed did have an outstanding individual performance as far as rushing the ball, and he did such a good job of being patient and waiting on his blockers to and setting up blocks. And so forth. And then, he also, there's times where it's explosive from the start, and he understands that when he's got to go barrel off in a gap and, pick up 1.5 yards or 2 yards to keep moving the chains. And, but, and then I think people are surprised at the speed he has too, being 220 pounds. Not many people think that he's that fast, and a lot of times his style of running, he is patient. He's kind of waiting, and then all of a sudden he sees that seam and takes off. And he had I can't remember what it was, a close to 80-yard run where they had a couple guys that had an opportunity to have an angle to tackle him, and they didn't do it. And like I said, it just goes to show that he has some speed too, along with that size, his physical size and build.
We'll talk a little bit about some of the other kids that really contribute to Dardanelle, and maybe some that people don't know as much about.
Yeah, absolutely. Peyton Davis is a guy that comes to my mind first and foremost. Man, he is a stinking dog now. That kid is an awesome kid to coach. He is an extremely hard worker. He plays right guard for us and defensive end. And, man, I'm telling you what, that kid is a very, very special young man, and he does some really, really good things for us. And he's very much like Creed, especially up front with the O-line and the D-line. Man, there's no doubt that he is the alpha up there, and everybody knows it. He leads by example. He's another outstanding young man. Charlie Poteet is another one. He plays our left guard, another senior lineman and defensive end, does a phenomenal job. Charlie is not as vocal or plays with as much emotion as Peyton and Creed does, but, man, Charlie's all over the field doing things right all the time for us. Gabe Burris, another senior that plays tackle for us, does a really good job, man. He's really come on since we've started the playoffs, and kind of coming into his own is playing exceptional on Friday nights, especially on the defensive side of the ball. He demands a double team every single time, and if you don't double him, he's usually a guy that's right around the ball if he's not making that play. And then our 2 linebackers, Cam Olson and Braden Hardy, have been absolutely outstanding this year. They've been really good for us. They're kind of the cowbells of our defense. They sit in the middle and kind of make sure everybody's lined up front and so forth. And, those 2 guys didn't get a lot of experience last year because we had 2 seniors in front of them, so they played very sparingly, and they were on every special team and so forth. But man, they've really come on this year and have done an outstanding job for us. And neither one of them, both of them are probably undersized a little bit, but both of them play so dang hard. They make up for it with how hard they play. Kentrell Diggs and Corbin Barnes both have been outstanding in the secondary at corner. They have gotten better since week 1 for sure, and they just continue to get better. And to the point where when we played Hamburg and some of those guys, we said, you know what, we're just going to play zero coverage and let our guys be guys. And man, they did an outstanding job. And that's a really, really tough job to do, is to go cover an elite receiver one-on-one over and over and over. Rod Chatton has been a huge piece for us offensively. Receiving, he's leader in receiving yards and touchdowns for us, and receptions. Has done a really good job. Unfortunately, he ended up breaking his arm against Monticello right before halftime. And then he also plays free safety for us and does a really good job there. Ian Branson has been phenomenal for us defensively, playing strong safety for us. He has done an outstanding job, especially against Hamburg, Monticello, Warren. All 3 of those games, he had 10-plus tackles and was all over the field. And and then he's also another young man that's playing both sides of the ball and running the ball for some as well, and then does an outstanding job blocking. Just a very unselfish kid that does a really good job. Javon Chatton has really come on this back half of the season and into the playoffs. He's a sophomore for us. It's Rod Chatton's little brother, but he's run the ball exceptionally well for us and does a really good job getting in gaps and exploding. He probably has one of the fastest or one of the most explosive kids we've got, and can cut on a dime and does a really good job for us. Javarius West is a guy that's done really well for us, another senior. He's the guy that we use on a lot of fly sweeps and does a really good job for us. He's not very big, but man, I'm telling you, that kid is like the Energizer Bunny. Boy, he just keeps on going, and it's always full speed for him. So we definitely have had a lot of guys that have contributed to this football team. I don't want to leave out Jesus Garcia, another senior. And he's done a really good job for us kicking the ball. And then he's on several other special teams, and he gets playing time at outside linebacker some, and has really bought into his position on the field and his duties. And then last but not least, Bo Miller, he's second in receptions and second in receiving yards and touchdowns for us. And, he's done a really good job. He's bought into his role. And since the Rod went down, he's the guy. So, he's handled that well.
Well, it's a familiar matchup here with Elkins. I mean, you guys are you played them last year. You played them this year. A little bit of history there. Last year they got you good. You came back this year. A little bit of a revenge game. Got them here. And then here you are now matching up with them in the finals. Let's talk a little bit about the matchup with Elkins.
Yeah, they did. They got us good last year, like you said. And then this year, at week 1, we were able to beat them here at the house, 14-10, which was a good victory. Not taking anything away from that by any means. But that was 13 weeks ago. Both teams have gotten better. They've gotten better on both sides of the ball, and we definitely feel like we've gotten better on both sides of the ball as well. And by at this time of year, both teams are playing with guys that are banged up or beat up, and maybe there's some guys that are are playing that you didn't see the first time because of whether it was injuries or just another guy emerged and took a spot or whatever. So definitely a different team. We have used the first game as for some reference and so forth as far as how they line up to some different things, but it's not been the game of the focal point, I guess, because they've played some good opponents recently, especially in the playoffs and in their conference that we've been able to get a lot of things from and use more for getting ready for this game at War Memorial. So we're very excited about our opportunity, and like I said, our kids are excited, and I definitely think we're going to take advantage of it.
Saturday, 6:30 is going to be a big game there. The 4A state championship under the lights there. Dardanelle and Elkins should be a good one. Coach Vega, thank you for joining us here, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right, thanks for having me, Brad.
All right, Coach Phil Vega of the Dardanelle Sand Lizards, and we appreciate him for coming on here today and taking the interview. Again, we're setting up for the state championship games coming on Saturday. All right, so you heard from Coach Phil Vega there, and he's got a lot of faith in his team. You wouldn't expect anything else, to be honest with you.
Not at all.
Not
with him.
He's a confident guy, and really Dardanelle's had such a good run, a 20-year run here of very good football. He talked about how that he was part of there's only 3 runs to the semifinals in Dardanelle history, and he's been a part of 2 of those. The 14 team, again, we talked about that, how they kind of exercise those demons a little bit with the whole, same day, same record, same team, and all that stuff. A lot of people feel like they should have won state that year. With that being said, they've got a great team going into War Memorial this year, and again, it's not just Creed Vega that does it. There's a lot of other guys on there. But here's the thing about me and this matchup. These 2 teams are so similar when it comes to physicality. Both coaches really preach physicality at the point of attack. Probably as good as I've seen any of the coaches do. They're really, really good at being physical at the point of attack, year in and year out.
Yep.
They are. And so this matchup to me is so intriguing because they're so similar. They are so similar. And, last year it was the Dardanelle team, the Elkins team, who had a little bit more experience, and they ended up beating the Dardanelle team, but then Dardanelle bounced back, got better as the year went on. Well, this year, those roles have flipped where Dardanelle was the more experienced team and Elkins was the younger team. Well, Elkins has now gotten better. If you look at the playoff run that Elkins has had as far as the teams that they've beaten, it's very good. It's a very good run there. But obviously Dardanelle has too. I mean, it's a really interesting matchup to me.
I think I did the numbers earlier this season. Creed has lost 7 games. 7 games as a starter. Now, the first year, they were in 5A.
Right.
And didn't belong there then,
Right.
Because, I disagree with the way we'll talk about that later. But, his only quote-unquote bad season was his first year as a starter as a sophomore. They had a losing season. They lost 5 games.
They were 5-5 in 5A though.
Yeah.
With him as a sophomore.
Yeah, which, isn't bad. Considering where they were at and where they then they should have been in the 4A, not the 5A. Just to put the truth to it, they should not have been in the 5A. I can't stand the way they do that. But 7 games in 3 years is pretty stinking good.
Well, if you look at your wins versus losses, if he's 5-5, I don't think they made the playoffs that year. They did not. They missed it by just a little bit.
Yeah.
They were right there. And then
I think he's 27-7 or something.
Well, it was
or 29-7 now.
10 games and then 14, so 24. 29-7 as a starter. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
Let's see here. We got Tina Honeycutt says go Elkins. Let's say, and then Michael Kisling says let's go Lizards. So let's get Zach Watson on here, and then we'll bring you our picks and who we think is going to win the 4A state championship. Welcome back into the Arkansas Sports Network, and on the phone here I've got Coach Zach Watson of the Elkins Elks, and they're making their return trip back to Little Rock, trying to win their I believe it's the first ever. Is that correct?
I think that's correct. Yes, Brad.
First ever state championship. Coach, let's talk a little bit about your team this year. I will say I feel like you guys have kind of flown under the radar a little bit this year. Just maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you don't feel that way. It just feels like Elkins kind of hung out there and everybody knew they were good. And then all of a sudden here you guys are playing your best ball at the end of the season.
Yeah, no, I think you're a little bit right, Brad. I think not a lot of people expected us to be in this spot, especially after graduating, our best running back, our best receiver, 3 offensive linemen, all of our defensive linemen from last year on that state championship run that we had. And so I think we have flown under the radar a little bit. But obviously our guys, like you said, have really come on throughout the year and are playing their best ball right now.
You guys, well, let's talk a little bit about what it took to get past that state championship loss and kind of move on from that last year and kind of turn the page and move on to this year.
Yeah, it did take a lot. I think it left a sour taste in our mouth, and I think that was kind of the catalyst and the drive to get us going into the off season. We wanted to get back there, no doubt, and so I think our guys used that as a little bit of a chip on their shoulder throughout the off season into spring football and our 7-on-7 and team camps this summer. And so I think we have steadily gotten better throughout the year with a lot of young guys being thrown in the fire early. And they've done a good job of maturing throughout the season, leading us into what we're doing right now in the playoffs.
Well, tell us a little bit about your team and who's been making contributions for you guys this year.
Yeah, I mean that's a big question right there because I could probably say everybody on our offense and defense, but you look at the main guys on defense. You look at a guy like Brooks Williams inside linebacker. Our leader of the defense. He's just been playing phenomenal the last couple of weeks. The other night against Stuttgart, I think he had 14 tackles. So a guy that's really playing good ball. But his brother SR, right there inside with him, is doing a really good job. Our defensive line has come on of late and it has held some teams, some really good run teams and some throwing teams, in check by being able to win their one-on-one matchups up front. And so you look at those guys, and then you've got a secondary full of returners. We actually got 6 guys back from last year in the back end, and then you throw in a kid like Josh Ham, who had two interceptions against Stuttgart, one of them returned for a touchdown, and then he also had a punt return. So you look at a young kid like that's playing really well. And then on the offensive side of the ball, I think you look at Ben Napier, been really good all year, kind of been banged up all year, but has played really good ball. And Austin Bourne, who's come in for him, has done a tremendous job at quarterback. We ran him last week against Stuttgart and did a really good job. And then you take a look at somebody like Connor Ham, running back, who's had 100-plus games every week in and week out, and multiple touchdown games. And so you look at those groups of those guys just done a really good job here of late.
You guys have ran the gauntlet a little bit here in the playoffs. Not had the easiest of goes, but you've been able to overcome and win that. I know that you guys were down, 3-4 points there at home against Southside in round 2, and then of course you had to go to Stuttgart. You had to beat Arkadelphia at home. Tell us a little bit about your playoff run and what that's done for your team.
Yeah, I think the road, and I'm not trying to take away from anything that the teams did last year, and we played some good teams last year, but I think the road has just been a little bit tougher this year. Like you said, that Southside team, I could argue if they beat us that night that they could be sitting in the same spot that we're sitting in right now. Really good football team, and our guys did have to overcome. We're up late in that football game and punt it and pin them inside the 5-yard line and think we're in good position, and they throw a 99-yard bomb, and they go up, and we have to come back and win that in a 2-minute drill type situation. And so I think that gave our kids a lot of confidence that let them know that we're never out of a football game. And then, like you said, play the defending state champions in Arkadelphia, a tough one at home. Another one that we had to come back late in to score and put us up. And then you face a Stuttgart team has arguably one of the best quarterbacks in 4A with Kane Price, and did a good job of containing him. So this year's road was a lot tougher to get there, and it just says a lot about our kids and our coaching staff have done a really good job of just putting in the work and getting great game plans together each week.
Well, the Elkins community, they've got to be ecstatic. I mean, you guys have had such a run here. I mean, not a lot of people were talking about Elkins in 2022 when you guys almost made a run then. You know, you were, I guess, about 7 seconds away from making the semifinal, and then you were in the semifinal in 23 against a very good Harding Academy team. And then the last 2 years, you've made the state championship game. I mean, you know, that kind of football success has not been at Elkins. I guess you probably had the most success ever. What's it been like being a part of that community?
It's just awesome, man. It's what great community support. You know, the amount of money, the amount of time, and other resources that our community, our faculty, and administration have put into our football program is phenomenal. And you know, just everybody's pulling the same direction. They're doing a good job of supporting our kids and getting us anything that we need to be successful to win football games. And it's just been a special ride these past couple of years.
And it's shown on the field. I mean, you guys have been at the top of 4A. We had a top programs. I'll get it out here in just a second. And I think you guys came in number 2 in our voting, and that was just a numeric thing by wins and success, you know, conference championships and, you know, state playoff success and all that stuff. And the numbers added up that you were number 2, and you were just actually 1 point from being, over the last 5 years, being the number 1 program in 4A. I think it says a lot about what you do and a lot about what is going on there at Elkins, considering that really, you know, you guys still play 3A, everything else, so you're really one of the smaller schools in 4A.
Right. Yeah. And, you know, Brad, I think that says a lot about our kids. They come to work every day. It's a great place to be and coach because, you know, you can still coach a kid hard, and they want to come to work the next day. And you've got parent support, parents that want their kids to be coached hard and hold their kids accountable. And so I think it's a great place to be. That's a phenomenal stat to me. It's very humbling. But I think it goes back, you know, it's those Jimmies and Joes that play every weekend to kind of make that program what it is.
And you talked about your quarterback situation, and that's been another thing that you guys have been able to do there, as move from one quarterback to the next. You know, it was Dean a couple years back for 2 years there, and then you had Napier, and then the young man that you were talking about. What does it mean to get that type of quarterback play and have a kid ready to go in case that there are injuries?
Yeah, I just think it speaks to that room, that quarterback room. Those guys support each other, number one, but I think they prepare like starters. Our backups do, and so when they're thrust into that role, they're ready. You know, they spend a lot of time in film, a lot of time of going over stuff with me at certain times in the day, and so they put themselves in a position to be successful. And I think that's, you know, kind of like the rest of our players. I think they do a really good job of, you know, kind of that next man up mentality because, you know, we've lost a lot of good ones. If you'd have told me kind of we're back at the same spot would be last year early on, maybe this summer, I'd have thought you're crazy because we're placing 3 defensive line and 2 of those guys were, you know, all state guys. And so, but our guys are willing to work and be ready for being that next man up.
You guys are familiar with your opponent here in the 4A state championship game. This is the 3rd time that you've played them in 2 years. You know, last year when you guys beat them like you did, I don't think a lot of people expected Dardanelle to come out and have the success that they did last year and then turn around this year. They did have expectations, and they came out and they're back at War Memorial. You guys played early in September there. Talk about the familiarity that you guys have with the Sand Lizards.
Yeah, no, I think we have a lot. You know, we've number one, Phil and I played together in college, so just knowing the opposite head coach as well as I know Phil, there's some familiarity there, and then our kids know each other. You know, it's kind of been a little bit of a reversal. Last year, we had a very experienced ball club when we played them, and they were a little bit inexperienced, and kind of roles have been reversed this year. Kind of early on, we had a very inexperienced ball club, and they had a more experienced ball club. So those are kind of the differences. I think we learned a lot after that loss. We matured a lot after that loss as well as a team, and so I think there's not going to be a whole lot of secrets on Saturday night. It's going to be come down to whoever plays the best.
All right. Well, Coach, I appreciate you taking some time to join me here, and we're looking forward to what should be a great game on Saturday night.
Thanks, Brad. I appreciate you having me on, and I appreciate what you do for Arkansas high school football.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Coach Zach Watson of the Elkins Elks here with me, and we're going to get to our predictions and everything right after this. Man, appreciate it. All right, we got Miss Elamay with us here. Can you say hi to everybody, Miss Elamay?
You say hi?
Hi.
She's saying hello to everybody, and man, I'm going to tell you, of all of the games that we've had to pick, I would say this one has probably given me the most heartburn.
Yeah, second to Junction City, Cross County.
Yeah, maybe even more than that, even more possibly, because it was just one of those. It's one of those games that this one can go either way. I think it's a 50-50 ball game in a lot of ways. I like Creed Vega. I think he's probably the best player on the field when he's there. When he's on the field, he's the best player. And then when I look at Elkins, can I say that Elkins might be the team that's playing the best right now?
They're one of them.
The thing that I look at when I play Elkins, are we unmuted, by the way?
Yeah, we are. We're good.
Just making sure. The thing that I look at when I see Elkins is that win that they went to Stuttgart and won by 30.
Yeah.
And that was impressive. That was impressive. This one is giving me as much heartburn as anything. Interesting stat. I may have already said it. The winner of this game will win the first state championship ever for their conference, not just their team, but their conference. 4A4 has never won one. Well, maybe I'm wrong.
No,
Well, the current configuration, they haven't. Boonville, though, was a 4A4 team at one point.
Ago.
And
did they win it as a 4A4 team?
I think they have. I think they have as a 4A4 team. Now, you'd have to go to the iterations of, well, this used to be the 3A4 at one point, and then it was the 2A West at one point. So, technicalities.
The landscape of high school football in Arkansas
changes
is
so much.
It's nuts. Every year it's nuts.
As it is configured, and I would say as it's called the 4A4 currently.
Today, yeah. Not one of them.
Not one, and the 4A1 as well has never won one. So, with that being said, let's get to our picks.
Uh-oh.
And we've got another split. Justin's going with the Dardanelle Sand Lizards, and I'm going with the Elkins Elks. And I know that I'm probably going to get a text message
You are.
any time now. Here's my thing. Again, I went over and over. I think I would have picked Dardanelle last night. Today I'm picking Elkins. I would have picked Elkins yesterday morning. I picked Dardanelle last night. I'm now at the point of picking Elkins again. And the reason why.
Wishy-washy, Brad.
Okay, so here's the thing. Here's my thing is when I look, again, it's about who is playing the very best. The very best. And I'm not saying that Dardanelle's playing bad. You're talking about splitting hairs at this point, right? I mean, you're literally talking about splitting hairs right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that I just feel like right now the two teams that are playing the best, Elkins is playing the best. Last year I was big on Elkins.
Mm-hmm.
And Arkadelphia was the team that came in playing the best. Now, what's going to come down to is turnovers.
Yeah.
If either one of these teams turns the ball over, whoever wins the turnover battle most likely will win the game. Now, there's always technicalities in that, but whoever wins the turnover battle will win the game. And I just right now I feel like Elkins is playing the better. And again, we're splitting hairs because you're talking about a team that's 14-0 versus a team that's 13-1 a team that lost to the other one, and then you've got the revenge factor as well that comes into it. So I'm going with Elkins, but I'm going to tell you, it would not shock me a bit, obviously, if Dardanelle wins the game.
I'm picking Dardanelle for look, I've been accused of it for years now. I'm a homer, and while they might not be my school, they're my conference.
Yeah.
And I mean, like I said, I've seen Creed Vega probably more than anybody. I say anybody. I've seen it. I've seen him a bunch in the past couple of years. Whether I was there watching him or watching, going back and watching their stream. That young man, he just impresses me so much. He's impressed me so much for the past 3 years that I want him. I'm willing him to win this state title for him and his dad because, my gosh, I think they deserve it.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of good players in the state. Last year, Kane Archer, when he won the D3 Auto Sales MVP, we couldn't give it to anybody else.
No.
I think we're borderline with that with Vega right now.
This year, yeah.
I really think that we're borderline there. I think,
and it's not to take away from Kane Archer, who is the 2-time Arkansas Gatorade Player of the Year.
Yeah. It's just one of those things that he's thrown for 2,000, he's rushed for 2,000.
Which is incredible.
How do you do – yeah, I mean,
it's incredible.
It's just something that doesn't happen very often, that's for sure.
No, not at all.
So, anyway, but, yeah, I'm going with the Elks. You're going with the Lizards. We were split on the 3A picks. We'll see who comes out, right? We'll see who comes out. You may come out be 2-0 this week, and you could be. I am the master of all things high school.
It would be the
right?
first time ever I came through as winning like that.
Right.
But look, no matter what, one, I don't think there's more than 7 points between these teams in this game. I don't see it being more than a touchdown at all difference. But no matter what, we got 4 great football teams playing in Little Rock Saturday, tomorrow. One, if you can, go support them just to see some great high school football. 2, watching on PBS if you can't go. These kids deserve our eyeballs to be on them for this game.
Yeah.
They have worked their butts off. All of them, from all 4 teams, have worked their butts off to get here, and they deserve our eyeballs to be watching it.
So I want to make an apology to the 2A, 5A, 7A, 6A, and 7A.
We apologize to them
because we weren't able to do this. This was in the plans, but last week we were doing the White County basketball tournament, and we just didn't have time to do it. So I want to say that we apologize for that. Next year we will try to make sure that week is clear.
We were already doing 12-hour days. There was no way we could do 14 or 16.
Well,
it was just too much.
I mean, I'm sure we could have done it. We could have. It just the time ran out. Time ran out on us. So anyway, we want to say we're to Cross County and to Robinson and to Shiloh and of course the other teams that are involved as well, and to Bryant and Bentonville. We apologize because we could have done this very thing for both, and we will put that in our plans for next year. But anyway, that is our picks, and I'm surprised I hadn't already gotten a text right now. So
okay.
Anyway, it's just I will tell you this for me, I will give you my honest assessment, whether that be beneficial or not for me. I will give you my honest assessment, and that is my honest assessment. I'm giving you what I feel like is going to happen. And, I've been wrong before. And you know what?
We've both been wrong this year a bunch of times.
You know what? Both Fordyce and Mansfield, they were probably they're probably upset that I picked one of them. and you know what? Elkins, I may be giving you the kiss of death. I don't know. But anyway, that's what I got. And we do want to say thank you again for joining us here on the Arkansas Sports Network. We're going to have basketball coming up, and we're going to have basketball talk coming up, going through the basketball season. Again, football's coming to an end. We have milked football for about all it's worth, and we'll come back and we'll give you a recap of what happened this weekend. But from that point forward, it's basketball. And I'll tell you right now, why don't you give us some suggestions on what we can call the basketball show, because the Audible just really doesn't work for basketball.
Not at all.
So anyway, well, Miss LMA, she's having a good time over there, and I think we're going to go ahead and say goodbye. But again, we appreciate you staying with us. It's been a longer stream. Gosh, it's been an hour and a half for sure. So we're going to get going from here. But again, appreciate you. we will see you on Monday, Tuesday, somewhere in there, and then we'll get to basketball after that. We will have basketball rankings a week from Sunday.
Yep.
So
and tune in tonight. Watch my Pottsville Apaches be taking on Washington Chapel here at home. You can check us out on Pottsville Apache Athletics on YouTube and Facebook.
all right. Well, we're out of here. We'll see you next week.
Say bye, Ola May.
Bye, Anne.